room, mainly due to the amount of questions that have been coming in. So what we're going to do, we're having just an opening statement, some questions where we have multiple comments made. Candidates would be allowed for 2 minutes. On some, if it's very short, it would be 1 minute, and they would be told each time the minute, which one would be 1 minute, 2 minutes. At the end of, just before 10 seconds are up, they will get a sign, so we won't be interrupting what they're saying. We do have, we're asking that, we're going to start with Bernice Houston on her 2-minute opening statement. She'll start when Tiny starts.
Can you hear me? It's on? Can I start? My name is Bernice Brewer Houston. I have been a resident of Sauk Village for 13 years. I'm a mother of 2 grammar school teachers and a grandmother of 3. I have a bachelor's I received from Roosevelt University with a concentration in environmental impact studies. Now that I'm retired, I've worked 33 years for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as an environmental protection specialist. I was assigned to the Water Division Underground Injection Control Program. Some Sauk Village committees that I've worked on include Parks and Recs, the Ordinance Committee, Neighborhood Watch, the Water Referendum Committee, Sauk Village Citizen Public Awareness, and also the Water Distribution Team. Over the years, there has been a lot of political chaos and turmoil. As a result, there is no unity, no accountability, and a lack of respect for residents. Our family in this village is suffering. I'm quite sure that all the candidates here have great ideas on how to move the village forward. However, evidence has shown that for many years, there's no governing been done here in the village. The current administration cannot keep adding on to the financial burdens of residents and ignore environmental issues. Residents simply can't afford it. Every day, residents live the reality that even though we pay higher fines and fees, taxes, and water bills, Sauk Village is broke. There's nothing for our kids to do. The crime rate has increased. There's a lack of police presence. Tax dollars are being wasted. The infrastructure is crumbling. Residents are forced to buy contaminated water, and we, the residents, are shown no respect. As you sit and listen to the candidates, look at the physical conditions of the village. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, do you want to continue down the same road that we are on now? What has the current administration done for the health, safety, or welfare of you and your family? Where's the money that we paid?
Dear my fellow residents and citizens, I have made a decision to run for mayor of Sauk Village back in April 2013. The reasons for my decision are based on my personal commitment to our community, along with the desire to improve the quality of life for all of my fellow residents for many years to come. It has become increasingly evident that the current administration is only aiming to please himself and a very small segment of the community. The residents are crying and clearly want help and want a change from the past 4 years of dictator management. What I hear from the residents across our village is that they too seek a better quality of life and to remain in Sauk Village, a place they call home, for decades. They want and need their elected officials to do a better job of planning for the future and be prepared to meet any challenges that may come our way. I, along with the majority of our residents, envision a positive future and imminent growth potential for our town. To best illustrate this vision, a core group of residents and I have collaborated to create a plan affectionately known as the Burgess Plan, which outlines my vision and my statement of commitment to the great citizens of Sauk Village. The plan contains my ideas and initiatives, which, when elected, will be a benchmark by which I will be measured as a leader. This document is intended to share my vision for our village and to explain in clear terms where I stand. The mayor of our village should be a leader who can promote a vision and inspire to those that protect the best of our village while improving the quality of our life. My plans lay out specific steps that can make goals a reality, recognizing that as a leader, my first responsibility is to reflect the intent of our community. As such, I pledge to first build community understanding, consensus, and to engage in a listening campaign to understand fully the views.
Good afternoon. My name is Shirley McQuarrie, and I'm a resident of Sauk Village. I have been for the past 16 years. I'm the proud mother of 2 adult children and 4 grandchildren. I seek this office because, first of all, I'm a new face. I'm not a politician. I'm just a concerned resident out here that we look at the change. We need reform, we need accountability, and we need some respect. We need integrity, and we need a sound fiscal management to handle this situation out here in Sauk Village. As my role as a village clerk, I'm here to take the minutes, make sure that the documents, books, papers are all done in a timely manner so that they can be sent out to the residents or any governing agency. I would like for you to consider me as a village clerk because I'm here for you, not for me. I work for the citizens of the village. I'm concerned because of our crumbling area is steadily declining. We need new faces, we need new ideas, and I would like you to consider me for the village clerk of Sauk Village. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nora Dabner. I'm on the vote for number 17. I'm running for village clerk of Sauk Village. I'm a proud mother of 2 grown daughters with VAs behind their name. I'm a grandmother of 6. I have worked for the Postal Service for 38 years in management. I have had numerous trainings, of which I could only give you a few, because 38 years is a long time. I've been trained in computers, I've been trained in electronic filing for record management, I've been trained in resolution conflicts, in which we do need that. I've been trained in safety and health, disaster plans. I lived in the village for 4 years, and in each 4 years, I have worked with the Census Committee and the Water Referendum Committee. I found in those 4 years that this village do need change. It needs enhanced programs and enhanced committees. We as residents here know that we don't have the proper water that's out here because it's with an airstrip in it. Now, anything that has to be added to water, then in order to take something out of water, fine chlorine, this is a serious situation. I have lived with it for 4 years and I had to speak up. I retired from the Postal Service. I worked in Carson's. I stayed busy. I worked as a provider for the ward of Cook County Courts. I've also worked at age options for aging adults, connecting them to ground-based resources. I worked on Area 1 campaign and Area 2 for the Barack Obama headquarters. Vote for me for change, number 17. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thanks to everyone for this opportunity.
My name is Debbie Williams, and I am your village clerk. My husband Frank and I have been Sauk Village residents for over 25 years. We are proud to say that we have raised our 2 children in Sauk Village, both of which have attended Wagner Elementary, Rickover Junior High, and Blue Trail High School, and went on to further their education to obtain college degrees. Frank and I will celebrate our 35th wedding anniversary in June, and are the proud grandparents of 1 grandchild. I have worked as a market research in-depth interviewer and administrative assistant to the CEO for the past 25 years. I have been an active community resident for over 25 years, having worked with every Sauk Village committee in some capacity, with the exception of the zoning board, as a committee member, commissioner, or participant. As a parent and youth leader, I have worked with our Sauk Village youth in the schools, scouting and various youth-related groups and activities. I enjoy spending time with our seniors in various activities, such as the quarterly senior luncheon sponsored by the McConaughey Public Library and the quarterly activities sponsored by the senior groups. I have always wanted to get more involved with the people who actually make the decisions for Sauk Village. In 2009, I decided it was the right time to make the move that I had desired. In 2009, my campaign promise was to provide open and transparent government by keeping the residents informed and continue to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. During my term, I have worked with the website committee to provide a more resident-friendly site that includes meeting agendas, meeting minutes, ordinances, calendar of events, financial updates, instituted online water bill payment, assisted with providing water and sewer line warranties for residents, reports, progressive plans, and press releases related to the recent water issues. I've worked with the Public Relations Committee to continue Student Government Day and the Sauk Talk, even after funding was cut. A major accomplishment also was revising the municipal code book. In the words of Winston Churchill, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Sauk Village has faced many challenges in the past 4 years. The upcoming election. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Seeking to serve you, I am Martha Campbell Pruitt, your candidate for Village Clerk. I made my home here exactly 5 years and 10 months ago. Upon settling in, I have enjoyed working with my neighbors to build the Lincoln Devils Community Club. My contributions were recognized by an appointment as liaison between my development and our governing board. With a history rich with professionalism, acts of volunteerism, and proven community service, I was appointed chairperson of the Beautification Committee and commissioner and chairperson of Human Relations. Championing many community-based projects is the heart of my being. I'm a retired public servant who has served as a senior public service administrator, school superintendent, principal, and teacher. I have previously been employed at the Department of Human Services and the Chicago Public Schools, where I was responsible for program implementation, fiscal management, policy decision-making, and professional development and training. I have represented our state on various national, state, and local committees and commissions. I have a strong customer-centric focus with organizational and specialized computer skills, all transferable skill sets that will ensure the success of our municipality. I am ready as an Illinois Notary Public, day one, to certify our official documents. Once elected, I pledge to report minutes of all required minutes and present reports and minutes efficiently and timely. Maintain and respond to inquiries concerning village operations, timely update closing ordinances, develop tools that provide two-way communication between the citizens and our village, and to improve our village's website to make it inviting, user-friendly, and interactive. As your village clerk, I will perform any and all duties. Thank you.
First of all, Sauk Village, let me first thank each and every one of you for coming out this morning and reviewing this most important act that faces you today. We have a very important issue coming up on April 9th, and that is election. And it is important that you meet your candidates, know who they are, so that when you go to the board, you can make an intelligent decision on what your plans are and who you want to give your plans to. My name is Enoch Vincent IV. I am running for mayor of your village. As you notice, I will speak from the heart, not from a piece of paper. The most important thing that we must understand is that the village belongs to the people. We work for you. Every time we get out of that concept and start doing what we want to do for the village, what you will see is the chaos you have been seeing, that they have been putting on YouTube and Facebook. We face many, many more important issues, like crumbling infrastructure, contaminated water. These are the most important issues that must be faced because they have a great impact on our lives, on the welfare of our children, our senior citizens. But no one wants to address those issues. They are all about power. I have been elected to the Parks and Recs as chairperson. My expertise is in children. I'm also a retired firefighter and paramedic, so my expertise is in health. When I was in Parks and Recs, my first and main objective was to bring programs into this village. And when I tried to do that, it was taken away from me. I was removed from Parks and Recs. Then I was also involved with the Housing Authority. And I was trying to do all I can to bring some progress into our housing progress. They removed me from that. They removed all people who try to bring progress to this village. And that cannot be tolerated. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Sauk Village residents, for taking time out of your weekend to have this session. Thank you, Sauk Village Fun Club, for hosting this forum today. As I look around the room, I see many faces I've known for years. I can tell you all about me. However, most of you have already read my bio, or you were there over the years watching me grow up. In the last 4 months as acting mayor, the following are just a few of our major accomplishments. Brought order and decorum back to village board meetings. No more 1 a.m. meetings and business is getting done. Filled vacancies in departments, committees, commissions, and village board. Eliminated debt and wasteful spending. Sauk Village is now running lean. Saved Sauk Village residents millions in fines from the IEPA and Attorney General and settled for a fine of just $2,500. Had overdue maintenance and repair done to police cars and fire vehicles. Identified, secured, and issued citations to owners for unsecured homes. Negotiated an agreement to purchase air strippers and no longer rent, again saving residents hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Developed a plan for Lake Michigan water, which was approved by the IEPA, the Attorney General, and the courts. Reduced outstanding unpaid bills by over $300,000. And we're sending a clear message to the criminal that Sauk Village is no longer their playground. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. The next mayor will have to be a leader and will have to make tough decisions. And I am willing to use my proven experience to make those decisions. I'm a family man who grew up in Sauk Village, and I'm raising my family here. I love this village and the people in it. Together, we can do this. I'm ready to make the commitment to you to continue to work hard and make this happen. As mayor, and with your help, we have already started the forward motion. Join with me in one voice and continue to send out the positive message of healing, peace, and moving Sauk Village forward. I am David Hanks, and I'm asking for your vote on April the 9th. Thank you, and God bless.
Our first question goes to Burgess. This is from Tom. Economic development. For decades, Sauk Village, a community of about 10,000, has over 100 storefront businesses. But over the past 4 years, that number is now down to 30. Both village shopping centers, Sauk Plaza and Surrey Plaza, have numerous vacant storefronts and are in terrible condition. Who and what is responsible for this lack of economic development in the village, and what is your specific plan to retain existing businesses and attract new business?
Thank you, that's a great question.
And this would be for 2 minutes.
Is that for everyone? Is that for everyone?
If the village clerk candidates can answer, that's fine. You can either say, you know, you don't have the information or it doesn't apply to you, but you have the opportunity if you choose to speak.
Okay, first of all, that's a great question. Yes, I am in charge of economic development. Over the past, I would say 7 years, I don't know about 10, but the past 7 years that I've been involved in the village, I did see and have saw businesses leave the village. I've asked the residents and many times at the meetings to shop here, and I've also been out to the different retail outlets and asked them to upgrade and update their merchandise so the residents would shop here. I've been in touch with the facade owners, not just the business owners, but the facade owners, the ones that own the buildings that the businesses are in, and asked them to update and upgrade. A lot of times they're reluctant because they said they're not making the money. So my plan is to either talk to them again and find out if they want to, or I would just have to move, and we would have to probably, we will not have to, we will build a different area in the village and move the businesses to that particular area and look for investors to come in and invest in the village and build a brand new downtown. My plan does show that I have a spot picked out for a brand new downtown area that is right there where our industrial park is located, And I'm currently, as we speak right now, in negotiations and talking to investors that will come in. But first, before I can do that, we have to change the facade, we have to change the makeup of Sauk Village. I want people to come out, that are potential business owners and retail owners, to see the village the way it is. So therefore, that's what we have to do, is to upgrade our village, update it, and make it appealing to the businesses that want to come out here and do business in our village, because we have a great avenue. We're right off of 394.
Well, the only thing I can say about that is, first we gotta get home together before we can do anything as far as bring businesses to our community. Let's work on home. Let's get this together first. Let's have some respect for one another, and let's try to get us together first. And then maybe somebody would want to come in and be a part of Sauk Village business area.
Can you repeat the question, Wilson?
Repeat the question? Yes. This is for decades, Sauk Village is a community, about 10,000, has over 100 storefront businesses, but over the past 4 years, that number is down to 30. Both village shopping centers, Sauk Plaza, Surrey Plaza, have numerous vacant storefronts and are in terrible condition. Who and what is responsible for this lack of economic development in the village? And what is your specific plan to retain existing businesses and attract new businesses?
Number one, I would like to reach out to the EPA and contain a decent water level in the village. We have to have an incentive in order for someone to want to stay in the village and have a business in the village. We have had different incidents where you see, you go to the store one day and it's gone the next day. We have to encourage our village and our citizens to empower each other into putting our money into our village, not going to Indiana, but here, until that problem is fixed. We have outside monies that we can reach outside the Sauk Village for and programs in order to stabilize these situations. A plan for that would be a 3-year short plan, is to ask for all kind of grants and loans, federal and government, a 5-year plan, and by then we should have something in place to lower property taxes, deal with infrastructure, infrastructure crumbling, and make our own self feel good about our own village. Thank you.
Thank you. As a member of the Economic Development Committee for the last 3 years, working closely with Trustee Burgess, I have attended quarterly meetings with the SSMMA, and I have learned that help is on the way. Sauk Village is not the only municipality facing problems with economic development. However, we know things need to change. We're working towards that. We attend these meetings quarterly. We follow up with newsletters and press releases on what is available to Sauk Village. Sauk Village is actually at the hub of I-57, I-80, 394, Sauk Trail, close to Indiana. We have the opportunity for growth of economic development. What we need to do, as someone previously stated, is we need to get our house in order. People need to know that they can come to us and they can talk to us in an efficient, friendly manner. Because when it comes down to business, we need to be able to talk to the people who want to do business with us. And we've had people in the audience that have come to try to bring business to Sauk Village, and we pretty much embarrassed ourselves. So the other thing we need to do is we need to fill these vacant homes. When a business comes to look for where do they want to set up shop, they look at how many rooftops are available in the community. How many people are actually in the community that can work within their businesses? And that's part of our problem. So our focus is also our foreclosures. We've got almost 500 vacant homes in Sauk Village. So that's a main issue that we need to focus on. I think we also need to frequent our local businesses and show. So when businesses come into Sauk Village, I think one of the first things they do is they go to other businesses and they say, how does the community work with you? You know, how do people receive you? And then when they say, well, I'm not really getting the customers that I need to survive, that would turn me away if I was a business. So I think we need to focus on taking more advantage of the businesses that we have, and we need to fill our vacant homes, and we need to recruit. We need to go to these quarterly meetings, and we need to recruit business. Thank you.
I believe that a positive factor for the lack of improvement and decline of our economy is specifically related to us not having a shared vision or a plan. I am a development committee, and I know that we have not operated from a strategic plan for a number of years. And without a plan or a vision, we all know what happens when we live with the Now, on behalf of the Beautification Committee, for which I am chairperson, I would say that our village needs beautifying. Who wants to come to an area that is on decline as ours is, that looks as ours do? It's not here. So one recommendation that we would have would be to communicate with existing businesses and future owners so as to provide a consistent look to the exteriors by placing planters throughout our village, throughout the strip malls and everything, so that we can have seasonal, beautiful flowers. Thank you.
Sauk Village, each and every one of us know why our village is on a downtrend. We know that our water situation is very, very bad. Not only do we know that, but society in itself is all over the news. It is difficult to bring businesses into a community where the water issue is a huge problem. Who would want to go to a restaurant where they can't drink the water? Who want to move into a village when they have to buy water to drink and pay extra water bill? It is very, very difficult. We all seen how the Board of Trustees, the now City Board of Trustees, acted in many of our meetings. It is difficult, very difficult to rebuild and to continue to grow as a community when there's in-house fighting and no one wants to prepare the problem. Again, a power struggle will damage this village every single time, and that's what we have. I do have a plan, but my plan do not supersede your plan. It is my position to find out first what the village residents want for their village. Once I find out what that plan is, we will create a zoning board of appeals and a planning department. Come together with that planning department and create what the village residents want. In 1980, they did that. They created a comprehensive plan, but they never included the public. But yet, they wanted your tax dollars to pay for something that they wanted to build. That's very inappropriate. In 1999, they changed that comprehensive plan, but again, never included the public. My plan is your plan first. Yes, I live in a village, but I will put your plan before my plan so that the people can get what they want and not what the village trustees want. Thank you.
All right, I believe it came from Tom. That's a great question. Hey, some of the things we're already started working on. We have already started working with the Cook County Economic Development, Cook County Planning Commission. We're also working with the Southborough mayors and managers, and we've reached out to surrounding communities because we all know that not only Sauk Village, but other surrounding communities have to find themselves competing not only with Indiana, but other counties. We are on the tip of Cook County, and we compete with Indiana, we compete with Sauk County, and sometimes it gets very difficult. What we're doing is we're at our first meeting, we're setting up the second meeting, trying to get more individuals to attend, and the plan is to reach out to the governor and ask for an appointment with the governor so we can discuss the issues that not only Sauk Village is having, but other communities. We have to realize this is not just a community issue, but we need to go in and let the governor know this is an issue throughout Illinois. The other thing we've started to do is working with our consultants, looking at areas that are blighted, areas that have open buildings, and there's no vacancies. So our work with the consultants looking at developing a whole entire new TIF area within Sauk Village. To give you an example, we have all the way from Tom's Tap, also including all the way to the shopping mall. We also have some developments that started that went nowhere. So we've already started looking at that. Economic development, we've had more meetings just in the last 4 months with our consultants than happened in the last 5 years, so that we can try to get Sauk Village to move forward. You know, but I tell everyone all the time, especially when I meet with residents, the number one issue in this village is crime. And crime has to be addressed. I tell everyone that everything is intertwined and crime is at the top. There's no way you're going to get individuals, residents come and move here as long as crime is bad. There's no way you're going to get businesses to come and move to Sauk Village as long as we have a crime issue. It goes right down the line. Who's going to spend their money here?
We have our question for first. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
With economic development, excuse me, businesses move where residents are. There are more residents moving out than there's residents moving in. We need to stabilize this community and find incentives to keep residents here. Incentives like clean water, increased police presence, safe roads, and we need to stabilize the housing with HUD projects and also the land bank. We need to stop all the political infighting here and listen and work for the best interests of the people. Who's responsible? The current leadership. We have trustees and the acting mayor here that's been fighting for the last 5 years. Nothing has been done for Sauk Village. All you guys have to do is walk out of this hall and look down the street. There's actually nothing being done for this village. No business wants to come in here. Every time you turn around, you have to fight with the trustees about something you want. No businesses or any government official wants to deal with the trustees here on the board. Viable economic development can only occur unless we clean our own house. Unless you get a new administration here, no business will come in. You can see that, and you see how they're leaving. Again, I want to say that unless we clean house, businesses will not come in. Then you could have a grand plan. But unless you change things the way they are now, you have the same chaos for the next 4 years. Keeping the same people in office will only create the same kind of chaos that's going on now.
Okay, now, our village clerk, this is a multiple question. Probably would take 2 minutes. As village clerk, what do you see as major duties and responsibility in the day-to-day village clerk duties? What would you do to improve the position? And what would you consider the most important issue? And what would you do to better assist both the resident and the village administration?
Well, first of all, you have to understand what the role of the village clerk is. The village clerk has to make sure she, first of all, has a pen so she can write down the minutes and make sure that the minutes are taken. It's not what I say, it's what the citizens say. When you get up to that podium and have something to say, I'll make sure that I write it down so it is on paper in black and white. My role is to make sure that you do get the information either by Sauk Talk paper or pamphlet, or either it can be also posted into the bulletin in the village hall. My role is basically, I don't have a voice. I do as I'm told. I answer to the mayor and the mayor only. I make sure that I would make sure that I would have a chance to visit other municipalities to converse with the other village clerks. I am not, like I said, I'm not a politician. I'm just a concerned citizen that wants to see change out here. And I am a team player. I have, over several years, I've been on several different committees. And I do have a voice when it comes to having new ideas and new growth of this community. I hope I've answered that. I didn't write down the total, both of the questions. I know that was a double question. But as I said again, my job is to make sure that I get the minutes out, that they're recorded. The village clerk also makes sure she holds the corporate seal. And it's not what I say again, it's what you say. I make sure that everything is documented and that it gets out to you in a timely manner and that it is accountable.
I'm Nora Dabner, and I'm running for village clerk of Sauk Village. The duties of village clerk is to be precise with the trustees and the mayor. In the meetings, you will take and record in a timely manner and professionally the notes of each meeting. Have them posted. Your other duties are that you will sign off with documents that's given to you and orders and licenses. You will also be involved with voting as far as elections in the village. Your job as a village clerk is to be professional. To improve this, you can put everything in the 2013 era. That means we could be professional as far as electronics. Have electronics touch-tone things. We have 72% of our seniors that's in the village, and we have to let them know and make things more accessible for them. We can improve important issues in the village, which will come up as far as yays and nays on different issues. Make sure those are timely and concise with what is being said. Thank you.
Thank you. The official role of the village clerk is to sign, seal, and maintain all village documents, to attend and record all village meetings, and to maintain those meeting minutes officially for the course of 100 years. And speaking about the meeting minutes, for the past 4 years, I have worked diligently to provide pretty much verbatim minutes, particularly in the first 3 years. Because early on in the administration, I saw that we were about to face several problems. And I wanted the residents to know how we got to where we are today. So anyone who wants to look at the minutes, they are online, www.saukvillage.org. That is the thing I'm most proud of as the village clerk, that I was able to document the history of Sauk Village through this administration. Sauk Village has gone through several changes and several situations. And you as a resident do not have to take time to come to a board meeting to find out what's going on in Sauk Village. You as a resident can go online and you can see the meeting minutes for the past 4 years. You can call my office and I can provide those for you. It's my job to make sure that those minutes of those meetings are maintained properly and that I pass them on to the next village clerk for over a course of 100 years. My office also serves as the local election authority and registrar. I am a notary. I have attended several conferences. I do keep up with current events with other clerks. I do attend other luncheons and other social events with other clerks so that I can see what they're doing to make things better in their community. I really never did agree with the fact that I had no voice. Out of everything that I dislike about being a village clerk is that I had to give up my residency. I had to give up my fact that I actually am a resident and I have a voice. It was difficult for me, and I admit that. But if that's what it takes to be your village clerk, to sit here and record your meeting minutes, and to make sure that the minutes are recorded accurately so that you know exactly what happened in a meeting, I'll lose my voice for you. Thank you.
You've heard a number of people give definitions of the duties of the village clerk, and I do not wish to totally be redundant, but I do need you to know that I am very much aware of the roles, responsibilities, and duties of the village clerk. I know that I am to keep the corporate seal, and I am supposed to be responsible for all papers and paperwork belonging to our village, and I am to attend all meetings of the corporate authorities, keep full records, more so than anything. As I keep those recordings, it's one thing to keep them, and it's another one to deliver them. I vow that I will deliver our minutes in a very timely manner. I know that my role as a clerk is to assist our village as we move forward with developing our long-term strategic goal. I plan to do that. I plan to assist us as we look at technology to improve and enhance the way that we present information to you. I plan to develop and use technology to invite two-way communication between our residents as well as the board, and also in between residents. So therefore, we're really looking at developing partnerships with some of our providers so that they can be a better service to us. I think with heartfelt dedication, though, I promise to provide focused accountability, flawless transparency, exceptional service, and valuable resources to rebuild our community. And lastly, I think I would want to provide, and I know that I will provide, a great level of responsibility and professionalism.
Did you want to respond? No? Dave wants to.
I won't respond to the village clerk part, but I would like to take my time just to go over a few things. We're going to find out here today that my opponents here and I agree on one thing. We agree on the failures of the previous administration, which was under former Mayor Lewis Powers. That is why we've worked so hard to turn this community around. And we can point to actions, not just words. Under the previous administration,
Please.
I have my 2 minutes, correct? Under the previous administration, Sauk Village was in turmoil and stagnant, with infighting individuals appointed by the previous mayor that had no experience and was unwilling to learn or ask for advice. Sauk Village, we are moving forward. Sauk Village, in the last 4 months, order and decorum has returned, although there are some candidates that have come and tried to disrupt the meetings. We are getting business accomplished at our village board meetings, and the bills are being paid without having to borrow money. Sauk Village, we ask you to, some of the residents, or some of the opponents have also talked about other things. Come to the village board meetings, see what's getting done, and see what we've been able to accomplish in the last 4 months. Thank you.
Denise, did you want to make a comment?
Yes.
If we could keep one microphone for the first 4 here, and then Debbie starts that
Excuse me.
other.
Moderator, I did not know, and it was not informed to us that we can go off of.
All questions really should be pertaining to whatever the question is. So please.
Why didn't you stop?
Okay, this is on the same village clerk question.
To be fair. So I'm not understanding. Can I respond?
If you want to respond to the village clerk or no, just village
I
clerk.
have a comment about the village clerk.
Pardon?
I have a comment about the village clerk.
You can respond.
Okay. Well, the village clerk, their roles and responsibility is to keep the record. But as we found, as being residents, when we come to meetings, the village clerk is often disruptive. The village clerk often does not keep her regular meetings. The village clerk generally doesn't know what you're saying. The village clerk has many of times have stopped residents from coming up and asking questions. Not only that, it's not only that, all of this work that's going on up here, and it's starting now, as you guys can see, we're not gonna go through the next 4 years like this. You talk about steady decline, we're on the bottom now. We need new people in here in order to lift us up. That's the bottom line. We can't stand all this fighting for the next 4 years. We have people who
This
need
is
to work
really on
together.
village clerk duties.
That's what I'm
Please.
asking. The village clerk needs to work with everybody else. She can't have her own voice. And that's the answer to my question. The answer to your question. clerk needs to work with everybody else. We're working as a team. And we're supposed to be working for the residents. And that's the bottom line. What's in the best interest for the people of Sauk Village, not for your own personal goals. That's
I just have a couple of things to say. First of all, as far as the village clerk is concerned, we need the village clerk to go to continuing education classes, wherever they may be, keep abreast of what's happening in government. As we stated before, we need to have an electronic service so you can get minutes online, which I think we have part of that going out. We have to more or less modernize how we do record keeping now in the village. But I do have a personal note, and this is aimed at how I see things are going right now as far as this forum is concerned. Please, keep it fair. Please, if you allow one person to go off, you must allow everyone to go off. Because right now, that's how you cause confusion, when you allow someone else to expound on whatever they feel that they want to talk about and not take, like you said before, stay on point. Because we can all go off point and talk about other things. This is supposed to be specifically for the questions that you ask. If that person wants to answer that question, fine. If they don't, they move on. But it should not be a person allowed, because I have 2 minutes, I can talk about whatever I want to. Because as we stated before, at the very beginning, before we was out there, you said you changed the rules to say that we're not going to have a closing statement. Please don't try to interject that closing statement in your comments when you ask specific questions. I hope you keep it up.
I hope that all candidates will just refer strictly to the questions asked. We've had people deviate going into everything but the questions. So the next question I have is another one for village clerk, and that would be,
We can't hear clearly out of that mic. No, we can't hear out of that.
okay? Maybe I'm talking too close to it.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, can you hear that?
I hear.
Can you hear that in the back?
Yes.
You can hear it if I speak up a little bit?
Yes.
What about this one?
Well, if we can just try to hold it up closer to our, I mean, I can hear it.
Now it's better.
We just gotta speak closer to it.
Testing? Testing?
Yeah, it's fine.
Check.
Testing?
There you go.
Since most of you mentioned, you know what the responsibility of a village clerk is, in your own words, please give a detailed list of the duties and the responsibility of the village clerk and the parliamentary procedures in taking minutes. What should and should not be included in minutes.
Well, Ms. Rosa, can you hear me? Because taking part as a village clerk, you have to be on your best. You have to record documents and take notes of what's given to you, because you are the keeper of the committee. They're passed their laws and their bylaws, they say yay, they say no. They have different laws in which they want you to be precise and keep in a timely manner as far as taking care of the notes. You have to be at these meetings on time and at every meeting. The second part of the question, Ms. Rosen?
The parliamentary procedures what should and should not be included in the minutes? In other words, should it be verbatim?
I think they should be slated as, in stone, no changes. If you got rules and laws and regulations, that's what you should go by. You should not, at minimum of occurrence, change them or have to grab from things in which you don't know which way it's coming from. I, as a village clerk, would continue the duties of the village clerk by instituting to everyone, by working with everyone, by keeping the notes clear and precise, by working with the community and alerting them on any and everything that comes in place. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to personally address the issues of minutes because I see that where this is going is the timeliness and accuracy of the Sauk Village minutes. As your village clerk, I have sat through 4 years of board meeting after board meeting of chaos, total lack of control. I have sat through board meetings, committee meetings, special meetings, executive session meetings. I have sat through 4 to 6 meetings a month that have lasted 4 to 6 hours long per meeting for the last 4 years. And in the process of sitting through those meetings, I have reported the actions of those meetings very timely and very efficiently and really very effectively. Because minutes are supposed to be reported as a summary of what took place at that meeting. Not a verbatim reporting, but a reporting. Basically, where was the meeting held, when was the meeting held, who attended the meeting, and a summary of what happened during that meeting. I challenge each and every one of you to look at the minutes of the meetings of the past 4 years. Tell me where your questions are. Minutes were provided up until just a couple months ago due to a cost savings. Were provided on the back table. Residents were able to challenge, board members were able to challenge. My minutes have been challenged 3 times in 4 years. And 2 out of 3 times, I took that person to the tape recorder and I said, listen, tell me where I've made my mistake. I'd be happy to change that for you. I'm sorry, only 1 time did I have to change that. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the detail of my minutes. I'm proud that I am the first clerk that puts your minutes online. So you can see what happens at your board meetings. The minutes are the thing that I am most proud of in my term of village clerk. But obviously, my opponents would tell you they were not done timely. When has the village clerk ever had to sit through the amount of minutes that I've had to go, meetings that I've had to sit through, and the arguing, and that I have to listen to those tapes 4 or 5 times to make it make sense for you? Proud to do it.
I guess that's why technology is really, really important, so that you don't have to sit through all of those minutes over and over and over, but just let the technology work for you. However, to answer the question, know that I am working to attain national certification as a registered parliamentarian, and I do believe that Robert Rules of Order are very, very essential, not just for the village clerk, but it's essential for any committee, commission, and definitely our board. I think when I first moved to this town, I noted that we did not operate by Robert Rules of Order. So I asked if our trustees knew Robert Rules of Order. I have since found out that they do not. And as your village clerk, the first gift that I provide each one of our trustees, as well as our mayor, would be a copy of Robert Rules of Order, because I generally go no place without them. But in terms of the duties where minutes are concerned, Debbie mentioned that minutes are supposed to host the date, time, location, the participants. They are not supposed to be verbatim minutes, just as she stated, and so it's possible that we've been too ambitious. I would like to see us going back to being a little bit more concise and include in our minutes the action items that are required and actual finalization of discussion, decisions, ordinance, and things like that. In terms of our exec board minutes, we know that a lot of times the information that's taking place in closed sessions are pretty sensitive, so therefore they should be reviewed twice a year to determine whether or not they can be released to the public for approval. Thank you.
I will respond to that. the village clerk has been equipped with 2 sets of material to help her in her duty as a village clerk. There are a pad and pen and a tape recorder. And what she doesn't hear in her ears, the tape recorder can respond for her. People ask me many times why I vote no to all the minutes. Many times I sit here in these board meetings, I have been called many names for no reason at all. Only because I vote no to many of the issues that faces our village, and no one on the board want to respond in a positive way to them. So because of that, I get negative response from some of the audience. Names that I never even heard of, but when I read those minutes, those names of what I've been called are never there. The minutes are supposed to reflect exactly what happened in the meetings. If she doesn't have it on pad, then we can go to the tape recorder. If we were voting for the tapes, I would vote yes, because it's difficult to change tapes. But it's very easy to change minutes on paper. But this is some of the reasons why our village is the way it is now. The people who you have elected have forgotten who they work for. The government was created by God, and it was created by God for a purpose. And once we lose sight of the vision of God for the government and the people, we lose sight of what happens on that board. And every single time we see Sauk Village on Facebook and on YouTube, and this is why we can't grow as a community. We have been made a laughingstock of the village, of the city, the South suburbs, because of these elected officials. Thank you.
Detail for the clerk, and I'm not going to go through all the clerk's responsibilities, but we do know that the clerk's responsibility is to keep track of the minutes, and we've heard different types of things that the clerk uses, pen and paper and tape recorder. But when the clerk goes back and types up those minutes, again, it's a summary of what happened in that meeting. We always have the tapes to go back to. That's what's important. If anything gets challenged, if it goes to courts, the courts will ask for both the typed up minutes and they will ask for the recordings. So we always have the recordings to go back to. Clerks could spend hours and hours just for one meeting. Of course, the last 4 months it's been a lot better. We just had a meeting last Tuesday night. We were out by 8:30. So again, it wasn't until 1 o'clock in the morning. And she's right. The first 3.5 years consisted of meetings starting at 7 o'clock, sometimes before 7 o'clock, and going to, without exaggeration, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Can you imagine typing, 5 and 6 hours worth of minutes, word for word? How many pages that would be? That's not the way it's set up. Robert's Rule of Order, you're right. Robert's Rule of Order needs to be followed. I mean, that's one site that I use constantly, especially in the latest revision of Robert's Rule of Order. That's what we run our community by, and it's by policy, and it's also by ordinance. That we run our community by the latest revision of Robert's Rules of Orders. We talked about, the trustee here talked about our village being a laughingstock. Well, not the last 4 months. The prior 3.5 years, we were a laughingstock. The last 3.5 years, this audience was packed. What have we seen in the last 4 months? Residents are finding out it's not a circus anymore, and it's not a time where they can come and eat their popcorn. They're finding out that business is getting done, and that's what's important. Thank you.
My comments is that when the village clerk takes minutes, she shouldn't offer her own personal spins on those minutes. Those minutes are supposed to be as accurate as possible because they might be used as a legal document later on. They should be timely and accurate. A lot of times, and I suggest this to the administration, that not only do you use the pen and paper and the recorder, we should also use video. Because a lot of times you see a lot of things that go in the meetings that it's not actually taken. And also, when a resident comes up and asks a question, if she has that right, add it to the notes, add it to the meetings. Because a lot of times the village clerk is not getting what the residents saying. Another thing is that a lot of the acting mayor indicated that the meetings didn't last long. That's because you go up there, nobody's answering your question. That's why it's not lasting long. So if you could come up here and get an answer to your question, you might, it might wind up in the minutes. And that's what we're here for, to get answers to our questions. What's happening to our money? What's going on in this building? Nobody can answer questions. Therefore, the minutes might be shorter. They're not active. Because a lot of times you come up there, nobody ever answers my question. And I see nothing in there that says Bernice Brewer Houston. Nobody answered my question. The minutes will be short. That's the simple, and that's the time.
I think that the question was what can be put into the minutes. Is that what the original question was?
That's right.
Okay. First of all, when we have our executive session, we go in executive session for litigation. We go in executive session for personnel. We go in executive session for real estate involvement. Those minutes are voted on and they're reviewed separately. Those minutes are supposed to be reviewed twice a year, and we're supposed to pass them every 6 to 8 months, either to be closed or to be open. That's what you're seeing is happening now. Those things are not supposed to be readily available to the public at that time. Now, as far as the question, as far as the statement that was made about the board being able to, or the board did in the past, or what they're doing right now, I just want to clear the air and let everyone here know and understand. This board had no way but to go up. Over the 4 years that we were here, we were arguing back and forth, mainly because we weren't involved in day-to-day operations. We weren't involved in what was going on until just before the board meeting. And quite naturally, when you just someone informs you about things like that, you're supposed to be informed when they happen. That's one of the things that the village clerk puts out. She puts out a communique to the different departments and also to the trustees, so we can be abreast of what's happening. That didn't happen. It started happening right after the mayor resigned, and we were starting to be more involved, so quite naturally we knew what we were going to vote on by the time we got there. But here recently, that has gone back to the old way, and we need to stop that. That's why you're seeing more and more controversy at the board meeting, because we're getting back to the way it used to be.
The accountability of this position is very important. For one thing, I can reflect back on when I had a supervisor told me one time we had a discrepancy with overtime. And I was being shafted about it. So I went to him and he said, well, Shirley, if you have it in black and white, we could deal with that. So, okay, I started putting stuff in black and white. And I eventually took it back to him, and he could not dispute it. It was in black and white, and I want to thank him for that. So in response to the question is, I assure you that the minutes are filed and are available, and they'll be made to you in a timely manner, what has been said, and it's what you say. It's not what I say. When you come up there and have something to say at that podium, I'm going to make sure that I try to put down what you say on paper. So we can always look back and go back to it and see what has been said. And I'll file it so you can get it in a timely manner so you'll know what's going on, even if you haven't had a chance to come to the meetings. Any of the residents that's out there that wants to know what's going on, make sure that you will have a copy where you can see it in the village hall or either by the newspaper. So my job is to make sure that I take full control and have records, have everything down that is being said. Thank you.
Okay, now we come to another question. Debbie, I think it's your turn for the first question. This would probably be the last question for village clerk. Can you define the statutory duties of a village clerk and what village clerk can and cannot do by law? What skills do you bring to the village that your opponents does not have? Please.
At the risk of being repetitive, we know what the village clerk does.
Okay, let's do it in 1 minute.
Okay, at the risk, we know what the village clerk does. We also know several statements that have been made here tonight are false. And I stand before you as your village clerk to say your minutes are accurate. Your minutes may not be as timely as my opponents would choose to tell you they aren't. But I will tell you, when I took office in May of 2009, the very first meeting, there were 16 sets of minutes on the agenda that needed to be approved, some of which were executive session minutes. I stand before you today and tell you all minutes have been completed through February 26, 2013. Executive session minutes, because of all the excessive litigation, have to go through the attorney. Executive session minutes have not been approved timely because we've been through 4 sets of attorneys in the past 4 years, because we've been through several items of litigation. I guarantee you, legitimately, if my minutes are wrong, I could go to jail. I'm not going to jail for anybody. Challenge my minutes.
The statute of the village clerk, section 31.75, reads as duties. The village clerk shall keep the corporate seal to be provided by the corporate authorities in all papers belonging to the village, the custody and control which are not given to other officers. The village clerk shall attend all meetings of the corporate authorities and keep a full record of its proceedings in the journal. The village clerk shall have the duties prescribed by the statute for the office of the village clerk as set out in 65 of Illinois, chapter 5, 3.1-35.90. Now, we know that the statute is one thing, and we must operate within that guideline, but we also acknowledge that operationally speaking, that piece is very important as well. And generally what happens when you look at the operational aspect, then that's where job descriptions come about. And that's when you have the formalized plan of action that's expected. We don't have job descriptions here. I will work to do that.
Well, the village clerk has her job to do. He or him, whoever, or he or her, whoever it may be, they do know that they cannot put what they think someone said. It is exactly, and it must reflect exactly what went on in a board meeting. Whether they go in closed session, whether they're out here in front of the people. But I will say this on behalf of the village clerk, Debbie Williams. I have never seen her stop someone from coming up to speak. She cannot do that, and she's aware of that. The person who does that is the mayor, and they have done that many times. So the bottom line is the village clerk's position is legally to make sure the minutes, whether written or T, are correct and accurate, and because they are a legal document that will one day show up in the court of law. And when that happens, then if they're not right, then she will be held responsible for that. Thank you.
The only comment I want to make on that is the only comment I want to make about that is according to the Illinois State statute, unless the minutes contain information that will harm the health, safety, and welfare of the public, they should be releasable. A lot of times, the minutes here have been approved and closed. Again, I want to say, unless it harms the health, safety, and welfare of the residents, they should be released to the public. There's no Illinois State statute that prohibits you from getting a copy of any executive session that prohibits you from finding out what's going on legally and what's going on with your money. Again, they want to approve a lot of these minutes and keep them closed, so they want to be available to the public. You should be able to have those minutes open anytime you want.
As I said before, The reason that the minutes are closed is because of litigation. If we're in pending litigation, we cannot release those minutes because it would be detrimental to the case that may be involved at that time. Because it would look like our opinion. As far as personnel is concerned, those things are done in executive session. If it's deemed that those minutes that are released in regards to personnel, that'll be something that the board, along with our lawyers, would have to make a decision. You don't want people's personal business out there that works here for the village. So that's one of the reasons why that happens, and also real estate, because you can be very, very, very detrimental if we're trying to obtain something and we have a competitor or we're out there and it becomes public record. It can help, it can hurt decisions. Those are the things. Thank you.
Question?
This is, can you define the statutory duties of the village clerk and what the village clerk can or cannot do by law? And what skills do you bring to the job that your opponents do not have? That was a question.
No, that wasn't the question.
Well, again, as I say, I am a new face, and I am running for village clerk, and I do know that the village clerk is the one that keeps the minutes, and she keeps the documents, she keeps books and files, she makes sure that things are put down on paper so you can always reflect back to it. And it's not, again, like I say, it's not what I say, it's what you say. When you come up, excuse me, when you come up there and say something, have something to say, I'm gonna make sure I put it down on paper. And I'm gonna make sure it's put there and it's accountable and it's done in a timely manner. So therefore, the only thing I can tell you is that I am a good listener and I can write. And thank you.
The duties of a village clerk.
She does answer that one. You need to answer because Debbie started.
Okay. It's to take notes. It's to inform the public of what has been taken from the meeting and let you be aware of what is going on in your village. When no documents are closed, the clerk does not have a right in order to leak out any pertinent information. We as a village will have to get back to the rules and regulations. We cannot afford to keep going on with all of this turmoil and everybody's right and they're gonna do it everybody's way. It's one way. That's by the rules and laws and the regulations.
Okay, excuse me, we have one more village clerk question because Marva did not have a chance to answer first. The last village clerk question, village clerk position as a, do you feel the village clerk position as a part-time position is the most productive way of serving the village? And what is your strongest attributes?
I honestly believe that a part-time position is sufficient for a village clerk. However, I am retired, and I would offer to give more than just part-time, simply because whenever I do anything, I like to do it to its fullness, and so whatever it takes to get the job done is what I'm willing to do. You asked about what are my overarching skills. I believe the organizational skills that I have is very, very important to this position, and I'll offer that. I also know that I offer a great level of support to both the employees. I intend to provide wonderful customer service and care to all that I encounter. And lastly, I'm going to perform any and all duties that are expected.
I have no response.
Denise? Pat? Derek? Shirley?
You all pass?
You're a village clerk, so please say.
Okay. Again, my name is Shirley McCrary, I'm the village clerk. And I believe with the right leadership and experience, as far as I'm sure I will be able to attend classes or get some more experience and visit with the other village municipalities, so I can be accountable and make sure that we have a sound fiscal management strategy. Village clerk, again, I say, I will make sure that the minutes are taken properly, and you will receive them in a timely manner. Again, I say again, it's not what I say, it's what you say. Thank you.
I believe that the first part of the question was, yes, it is. The second part of is it a part-time position? Well, from what I hear, that part-time position goes a long time for a part-time position. I'm a retired postal employee. I've been busy ever since retirement, so I am worthy of these duties. I can bring a lot to the table, but we as a community needs to address some of these issues that are out of control. Thank you.
Thank you. And the answer to is part-time village clerk enough? In a perfect world, yes it is. Has the past 4 years been perfect? Not. Have I done full-time responsibilities in a part-time position? Yes. Did I have to do it? No. I could have given you non-verbatim minutes with very little information, and you still wouldn't know why we are where we are today. But it was important to me to take the time, whether it was full-time, overtime, double time, triple time, till 3 o'clock in the morning, days at a time. That's what I did, because it was important for me to give you the right information. And I do not make up what's in the minutes. I do listen to you, because I will go to jail if I record your responses incorrectly. If my documents are called into court and my documents are inaccurate, I go to jail. And as I said before, I refuse to go to jail for anybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll get to a mayoral question. And this would be, Enoch would be the first one to answer this question. This is Tom on personnel. Do you think Louis Tower was a good mayor of Sauk Village? Do you support or oppose Tower's appointment to the following individual? Bernetta Corley-Hill as Chief of Staff in 09, Frank Martin, Chief of Staff in 10, Sutley Group as Village Attorney in 09, Henry Turner, Village Manager in 11, Robert Fox in 2011. You have 2 minutes. Please explain your reasons for supporting. Please. You're going to be removed if you don't be quiet. Please explain your reasons for supporting or opposing each appointee, and you have 2 minutes to answer.
Sauk Village, the question that was asked appears to be a loaded question. It's a question that wants me to respond to someone's integrity. It's a question that wants me to respond to someone's inability to function because of what he was not allowed to do. Because of that question, it was a question took about a minute to speak. It's confusing of that I support. In 2009, I did run on Lewis Towers' ticket. And we got in office in 2009, Trustee Hinks, and the other trustees, along with the village clerk, all got together and decided to work against him. All his appointments, everybody that he appointed were removed from office without cause. They just fired them because they wasn't working in the best interest of the trustees. Because they wouldn't do what the trustee says, and because they were induced to have their own powers, they got totally in the way of what he tried to do. Lewis Towers made some mistakes. We all do. But nevertheless, I'm going to say this. Trustee Hayes just made a statement. In the past 4 months, there have been quiet in our village board meetings. Only because the past 3.5 years, he was the one that caused all the confusion, along with every other trustee up there. When he was doing all the stuff, it was just going crazy. They just did what they wanted to do. Now all of a sudden, he's gone, they have peace. He was the problem over the other trustees. Thank you.
David, your turn.
Thank you very much. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and former Mayor Lewis Towers, everything rises and falls on him. We know that we had 3.5 years of turmoil. We had 3.5 years of stagnant. This village did not move forward. Lewis Towers took upon himself to make decisions without the village board consent and approval, which is by state statute. Lewis Towers did not listen to the board. I have a trustee sitting next to me that made statements multiple times that the mayor does not have to listen to the board. The mayor does not have to listen to the village residents. But a mayor, whoever sits in this position, has to listen to the board of trustees. You're supposed to work with your board of trustees. We had a mayor who refused to work with the board of trustees. Lately, and again, I cannot talk on some of these because the majority of the individuals that you mentioned in that has litigation against Sauk Village, and still has litigation against Sauk Village. They are suing you, the residents of Sauk Village. So I cannot talk about them. But you know, just recently, we eliminated back in, I think it was October last year, 2 positions. Now, those 2 positions, along with other positions we didn't fill, saved you, the residents, over $300,000 a year, $318,000 a year. A couple of those positions was the police chief and the village manager. Again, individuals who are suing you, the residents, currently. And they're also supporting one of the parties that are running up here. And they're putting their money toward that party. So I think that needs to make sure that we're very clear about that. So, again, I reached out to Lewis Towers when he was first appointed and first elected and tried to work with him. But when an individual is doing something that is illegal and it's not according to state statute, it is the trustees' responsibilities who report to you, who are supposed to serve you and are supposed to be a servant of the people, to make sure that does not happen. Thank you.
Please.
Excuse me. In 1957, when the village was first established, there was a strong mayor form of government. That means that the mayor is chief executive officer of the village. His duties is to perform the day-to-day operations of the village. In the last 4 years, there has been a lot of political chaos and turmoil. There has been no compromising. They have, members of this board have drafted ordinances to strip the mayor of his powers. There's no governing been done for the last 3.5 years. Nothing has been done in the best interest of the people. We want to know, we don't know where our money is. We are forced to do contaminated water, all because of the trustees here. And they continue to sit up here and fight. When a resident come here and ask a question simply about your money, nobody wants to answer. They
Please
tell you,
answer the questions on
I'll
personnel.
answer the question. Personnel,
Water is not part of the personnel.
Thank you.
Continue.
Thank you.
So, Rose, you could interrupt my answer. Did you interrupt anybody else's answer? Let me back up. There's no governing been done in this village for the last 3.5 years. There has been political chaos and turmoil. Everybody that sits up in the seat now has been fighting among themselves. For the next 4 years, if you choose to put these trustees and the active mayor back in there, what do you think you're gonna get? The same thing you've been getting all the time. Constant turmoil and chaos. Nobody can get an answer up here. Nobody knows where the money, and you're forced to take a drink contaminated water. They have violated your constitutional right to tell you what you can and cannot have. They forget that they're working for you. You tell me how many of these people have been looking out for your best interest. Anything to do with the health, safety, and welfare of this village hasn't been done. That's why all those people are gone.
How many minutes do we have?
2.
First of all, I'd like to say, and I can say this in all earnest, you asked about what happened in the last administration. I foresaw this. I ran against Lewis Towers 4 years ago. And I told everyone at that time that this was going to happen. I stated that he was overwhelmed. He did not know. Okay, if you're overwhelmed with a position and you did not know how to run the village, you should surround yourself with people that know what to do. That didn't happen. That's why we have the turmoil. That's why we have the back and forth. Because I knew at the time and still know that it was run improperly. The people that were put in the positions were not people that knew those positions. They were coming in trying to learn it too. So that's what we had. Then we had the chaos on the village board because the village board saw that it wasn't being ran correctly. Please, and I implore every person out here today who has not or who has made their decision, please don't make the same mistake again. We don't have the time, people. We don't have the opportunity. We definitely don't have the money to try it again and have someone come into a position hoping that they know what they're doing. Please make the right decision at this particular election and then elect the person that you feel can move this village, that has professionalism, has the plan, and has a desire to do this. Please don't make that same mistake twice. We can't afford that.
Shirley, you can choose to pass if you don't want to respond.
Well, okay, again, I'm Shirley McCreary, and I'm here to support the vision of the leader. And I plan to establish a quorum that will allow the record to show the voice of the citizens. That's you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nora Dabner again. Rosa, my feelings for that question should be on the cloud list. I have no jurisdiction to judge no one. We have due process of law to get people in and out of government. I should not be here bad-mouthing any previous administration from 1957 on back to now. I, as an individual, work for the people. I'm a strong advocate of having your voice heard. We have had so many flip-flops in this meeting, I'm really judging your credentials. I, as a resident, have worked with the village, for the village, in census. That means I worked for Sauk Village in the census time. I worked for Sauk Village in a water referendum. I have no godly rights to sit up here and slay or mudsling at anyone that's not present in this room. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody in this room knows or will know by the end of the day that I ran with Lewis Towers 4 years ago and I supported Lewis Towers heavily 4 years ago. However, I ran as a party. I'm coming out as an individual now. You can't hear me? No. They said they can't hear me. Can you restart the time, please?
Again, I ran 4 years ago with Lewis Towers for mayor as part of a party. But running as a party, I was working as an individual. I ran as a village clerk 4 years ago, and I'm not going to stand here and talk about Lewis Towers, Bernard McCorley, or any of the people that were mentioned, other than to say this. I have worked with transitioning attorneys, 4, police chiefs, 4, finance directors, 3, mayors, 2, trustees, 8, village managers, 2, chief of staff, 1, to provide current and past history to each and every one of those individuals in those positions so that they can perform their job to the best of their ability. It was my job to work alongside and for everybody in those positions as well as the residents. So but to sit here and say that I'm going to tell you, was he a good mayor? Was she a good chief of staff? That's not my job. We are in litigation. We're not going to go there. We're here to tell you what we can do for you. What I can do as your village clerk is to continue to work with anybody who is in any of those positions, to work with any resident who needs me. Me as the village clerk, I'd like to continue to do what I've always done, work with and for everybody equally. And I've always made that point to do that. And I don't know if that fully answered your question, but I would like to say, look at the transition that we've had in the past 4 years. It wasn't easy being in this position. Many people watched me very carefully. Why are you helping that person? Why are you helping that person? Because it's my job. I've worked with everybody, and I will continue to work with everybody fairly, equally, and honestly, because that's my job. And I want to continue my job because I do have the dedication and the experience and the community involvement and the family values. I work for you, and I respect you. Thank you very much.
I believe that the question is most unfortunate, simply because I operate and I honestly believe in grace, and I operate and believe in God's grace. And it's really interesting because today's daily word spoke of grace. And I think that the late Mayor Towers, regardless of what his selections were, who they were, he, along with all the rest of us in the room, has God's grace. And the comparable, though, that was in the daily word was talking about the lotus plant. And we know how beautiful the lotus plant is. But did you know that it grows in very, very murky, muddy water? But from those roots, we have such a beautiful, beautiful plant. So regardless of what took place in the past, it does not direct our future. What directs our future at this point, and that is going to make our village rise again, are those who you choose to put into office during the next 4 years. But know that it will probably take more than 4 years. I sincerely hope and desire that Margaret Campbell Pruitt me will be one of those people that you put in office, because regardless of how muddy and murky it may seem right now, we shall rise again, and we will be the beautiful, beautiful village that many of you remember from years past.
Okay, time for the last question of the day. And this has to do with water. Did you vote yes or no in the March 2012 voter referendum for Sauk Village to acquire Lake Michigan water? What is the reason? The village failed to clean up its water system since unacceptable level of vinyl chloride was first discovered in our water by the state of Illinois in 2009. And now that the voters have approved the acquisition of Lake Michigan water, what is your specific plan for the acquisition? Please include how you plan to fund the acquisition and your timetable for completion. 2 minutes.
You only got 18 minutes.
Rose, that's a mouthful, and I think it took you 2 minutes just to read it. First of all, how an individual votes, that's their own personal, so it doesn't really matter how I voted. The fact is that the residents passed it. You talk about why wasn't the water cleaned up? We know it goes back to 2009. Again, everything rises and falls on leadership. And you go back to Lewis Towers. It did not get done because of Lewis Towers and the position he's sitting in. Let's talk about what we're going to do. The plan is already in place. We have a three-phase plan. It's already been signed and approved by the IEPA, the Attorney General. The courts have signed off on it, and everyone that lives in Sauk Village should have received something from the village pointing out that what that three-point plan or three-phase plan was. So first phase, as we work with the IEPA, we get the low interest loan. Again, we just received documentation coming in saying that the IEPA is looking to approve that low interest loan. We're going to have a public comment time where the public can come and comment on April the 2nd here at the Village Hall at 6:45. Once that's completed, if there's nothing more, the IEPA is going to approve it. We'll get that low interest loan and start to repair, or should I say, we're getting all new air strippers at wells number 1, 2, and 3. That gets us back up to where the IEPA and the Attorney General says we have to be. We're also putting in all new equipment when it comes to iron removal systems, when it comes to SCAG systems. There's all kinds of parts and things that have to go in there, all brand new. You just had your water rates raised. That's the last time we foresee it raising for a long period of time, because the IEPA has looked at the water rates that we're bringing in now. It gives us enough money to start repairing our infrastructure. That's phase 2. Part of the consent agreement that we signed with the IEPA says we will fix so much feet of infrastructure as the pipes in the ground where it's leaking per year, or so many fire hydrants, or so many boxes. And then phase 3 is to go back for Lake Michigan water. So we just started the leak survey detection test to find out where those leaks are so we can start prioritizing and start repairing those.
Bernice?
You know this, I really love this question. Okay. Well, first of all, about the water situation. Now, you know your water rates have been raised twice in the last 6 months. Back in 2006, your water rates were raised. That money was supposed to be set aside for the repair and maintenance of the well. It's obvious and apparent that that wasn't done. Now, money's going to be taken out again to repair and maintain those wells. Where's the money? These wells are old, they're 50 years old, and they're not able to do what they used to do. Now, another thing that Action Hanks forgot to tell you is that the water beneath wells, what well site 3 is, what well 3 is not supposed to be used for potable water. That means that Illinois EPA dropped the ball in 2008. They're forcing you to buy contaminated water. Keep in mind that you're paying $7.50 for contaminated water. The quality of your water will not change. They're paying more and more for contaminated water. And it's ridiculous that we have to live in this day and age in 2013 to buy contaminated water. And another issue I want to do is that the trustees impose their will on you. People mandated clean water. They just ignore you. They pushing those wells and air stripping through without your consent. Secondly, a lawsuit was filed in 2006 to find out what happened to the money. Nobody wants to tell you. How much more are you willing to pay for those wells? The well, we didn't ask for improved quality of well water. We want clean water. We're not getting it. Your water rates are going to be raised, and you're going to be buying contaminated water. The site where well 3 should be on the national priority list, on the Superfund list. They have paid roadway trucking to clean up the site, but yet Sauk Village is still using the site. Why?
Okay, as far as the water is concerned, this plan was put in place months and months ago. I guess you guys came out to it. Bud Mason was here and we talked about that. This was also the plan that was talked about previously by the acting mayor, was put in place by Robinson Engineering with the help of the trustees and the board at that time, because we wanted to move forward, because it was mandated. Also, the rate increase. The rate increase that was incurred, that was voted on by the residents, was put in place so we could pay for the infrastructure. Infrastructure is going to be between $17 and $19 million just to do that. Whichever way we do, we have to take care of the infrastructure before we can go out and purchase or hook up any other municipality for water. So we have to take care of that. The low interest loan that we're trying to secure is only for $4 to $5 million. As you can see, there's going to be a gap between. And we had to show a president that we could pay the money back, and that's why we had to raise the rates. That's what the rates are for, the money. And it should be earmarked just for, the rate increase should be earmarked just to pay back the loan and to further take care of the infrastructure. As far as airstripping, law, IEPA, IDNR mandated that we do airstripping. It wasn't done by the consensus of the board because, believe me, I pay a water bill too. Everyone feels that, the water pass out was free. It wasn't free. It cost you over $57,000 to get that water when it came out. That had to come out of somebody's pocket. It came out of your resident's pocket. So that water was not free, even though it looked like it was free when you got your water, you paid for it. Those that came up to get the water, those that didn't, you still paid for it. But it was mandated. It is mandated, and at some point in time, we have to go to Lake Michigan water. So it's not something that we just chose to arbitrarily do, it's mandated, but there are steps that this board, not this one individual, that this board took to make that happen.
I'm just curious about the water out here in Sauk Village. I mean, I've been out here 16 years. Does anybody know how, it's been bad ever since I've been here. And I'm assuming it's just gotten worse. But it's just time now for us to, I want Lake Michigan water. I would hope all the residents out here would want Lake Michigan water. Why we don't have it right now, I guess we'll have to, go on further with that. But anyway, let's try to get past this business as usual administration and look forward to some new faces and new ideas, new growth. Thank you.
Again, we're talking about water. Finally. Me as a resident for 4 years, I have a sad day when I have to pass by that well on Sauk Trail, looking at the condition that it's in. The water on the inside is one thing, but the look on it on the outside is another. If we can have a beautification committee, can't they look at things like that?
Please continue your comment.
I will. I had to think. As we go, we need to enhance the IEPA and pushing forward as residents of South Village for Lake Michigan water. If they could put a pipeline through here to bring oil, they could bring you some good water too. Then you wouldn't have a problem with paying for it.
It's all about the water. It's always been about the water. I've been a resident for 25 years, and every election I've been involved in, it's all about the water. I will tell you, as the clerk, I have absolutely no voice on how this board votes on what they're going to do when it's all about the water. But I will tell you, as your clerk, every meeting that we've discussed water, and there's been a ton of them, is accurately recorded in the minutes of the meeting, available online, in detail, almost verbatim, so that you know how we got to where we are today. Also, let me just say this, please, there's a lot of misinformation out there about the water. That's why we have meetings where residents can come in and hear the truth, and that's why you have a clerk that takes 16, 17 pages worth of typed minutes so that you can understand exactly what took place at that meeting. Those minutes, again, are online, okay? Well, just look at the minutes. If you have any questions, see me, call me, give me 5 minutes, because no elected official up here can get you Lake Michigan water before the IDNR and the IEPA says it's time, which is about 4 or 5 years from now. Call me.
In terms of being village clerk and where the clerk is concerned, I believe that that's where accountability comes into play. And in my desire to be accountable to you and to the village, know that my plans would be to respond to the inquiries that you would have concerning the water and any other operation within the village. I plan to maintain our public information and respond to any and all requests, furnish that information and the reports as needed. I plan to ensure that you have ongoing communication regarding the status of this initiative as well as any other.
Well, that's a wonderful question, but let me say this first. I have already contacted and have been speaking with an environmental firm. about our water issue, and they are already ready to come on board to make sure we get this water. But let me say this, and I'm going to give you facts. No Sauk Village resident should have to pay for Lake Michigan water because you did not contaminate your water. The people who contaminated your water, they will pay for it. Every community that has a water issue, they went after the people who contaminated their water, the businesses, and they were made to pay for it. In 1980, IEPA knew our water was contaminated. Wrote the village a letter and they did nothing about it. And some of those trustees that was on the board then are on the board right now and did nothing. In 1990, they wrote another letter, and these same trustees are up there now, did nothing about it.
Okay.
That was not 2 minutes, speech.
No, yeah, 2 minutes are up. I want to thank everybody for being here. Unfortunately, we got a late
If
start.
anybody want to talk to me after this, you can.
If anybody wants to speak to the candidates, please see them out in the lobby. There is refreshment out there. And please, we have Public Works ready to move the equipment out so